Hello, this is Don Westfall, Director of Athletics here at Bethany Lutheran College, welcoming you back for another installment of the Bethany Sports Beat. And we're going to talk about fall athletic season right now, and in fact, the last of the fall teams to compete were the cross-country teams. They just completed their competition in the NCAA regional meet in Northfield over the weekend, and here to join us and talk about their successful seasons is the head coach, Michael Dunn. And indeed, both teams, a lot of success, maybe a little more so on the women's side as far as overall team places and some of the individual successes there. But even for the guys, especially the way you ended up the season, a lot of the guys with their personal best on the year as well. You had to be pretty pleased with just the progression and everything that transpired during the season.
Well, absolutely. I mean, by the end of the year, it's all about staying healthy. For the most part, I think both of our teams did that this year. And both, like you said, the men's and women's teams had some great PR season bests towards the end of the year, and that's what you're really looking for. And chance to compete at the regional, that's always a privilege.
Conference season for you guys, we'll talk about the women first. They end up third in the conference. A very nice finish for the women's team. Kind of had a great, obviously, run that day, and even some of those people that, obviously, you're going to talk about the Sowers and Lydia Hildebrandt. Those were the athletes who got some of the all-season eyes. But on a day when you finish top three, numbers 4 and 5 are doing well for you as well as far as those overall team standings.
Oh, man. I mean, coming towards the end of the season, we talk about being healthy, and Megan Sauer was able to kind of push herself to obviously a fourth straight all-conference team all-conference, and I think that's an incredible feat for anybody. It just goes and shows how dedicated she has been to her running and cross-country here at Bethany. And then you have Morgan Sauer also being all-conference her second straight year, and Lydia Hildebrandt, who is first year this year for our cross-country program, and proved that she's ready to compete at the mid-distance and distance levels when it comes to track and field down the road here. But she definitely has pushed herself to those limits. And our 4 and 5 runners, like you're saying, Kirsten and Jem, have really been able to pull together a season as well and really help our women's program this year.
You guys were not necessarily, you had an outside shot at the top three, but that day, just the conditions and everybody came together and everybody kind of pushed it a little further, because I'm sure by the time when the results came out, there were a few people was like, well, this was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the start of the season, we sat the women down and our coaching staff, and we talked to them about how, this season they have more potential than I think a lot of people really know. And at the end of the season, I think they really started to see how far along they had been coming throughout the year and how much improvement they had individually throughout the season and as a team. And at conference, I mean, they really clicked. And I know as a team, we had been shooting for second because we thought that we could even bump up a little higher. But being only 10 points behind second place is nothing to slouch about, and having a third place finish at our conference meet is something I think that they're all very proud of and should be.
Men's side, they finished a few spots lower than the gals in the conference ranks, but for your men, didn't have the big standout runner that you would, the name that you would expect to see, but as a group of runners, really throughout the season, just continuously got better, and certainly here in the regionals over the weekend with the number of PRs that were recorded, you're going to want to end on a high note, and those guys did.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing about this guys team is they've been very resilient and, again, healthy kind of throughout the majority of this season, and being able to see them work together on the course. We kind of talked about how that can play into your favor as a team when you're able to run, not only train together in practice and run in practice together, but also when it comes to a meet, be able to push one another and pass athletes together and push one another throughout the course.
So now the season's done, you turn into the recruiting cycle. As a cross-country coach, obviously the distances for the most part are all the same. Now, obviously there's differences in terrains and elevation and things like that. But as a coach, what are some of the key components that you're looking for? Because all you can do is look at times. You can kind of get a slate and you see where they finish in some of the high school meets. But what are some of those other intangibles that you're looking for in terms of cross-country runners here at Bethany?
Well, I mean, I think an athlete that wants to be able to compete at the collegiate level right away, first and foremost, and has that passion and dedication to those mid-distance, distance type races for the track and field season, and then obviously the 5K for high school for cross country. Those are the athletes that we want to be able to go out and grab. And I think with our coaching staff that we have this year, a couple of assistant coaches that are really getting on to recruiting, and myself being able to kind of know some coaches in the area a little bit more, get to know some of the athletes. I think we're really looking forward to see who we can bring in here next year, and on both the men's and the women's side. And I think as this program continues to grow and progress, I think we want this program to be very successful in the near future, and we're looking to do that.
And the nice thing is, as strong as the seasons were this year, you don't really lose a ton of athletes off either team, so there's a strong nucleus in the core there to build from, but obviously opportunities for new athletes as well.
Well, absolutely, and I think that's something that is a huge check for the incoming freshmen or the potential student athletes for Bethany, is that they not only get to be part of a collegiate program, but they get to really help that team develop and become a contender within our conference on both the men's and women's sides. And I think on the women's side, obviously, a recruit's going to be able to come into a team that's pretty much all back, as you're saying. We lose Megan Sauer, who's going to be very sorely missed and not easy to make up for. But I think with the pieces we have, we're definitely going to be able to push forward and get some recruits that want to step up for that as well.
All right. Well, again, great seasons for both the women and men here at Bethany in cross country, and obviously a lot to be optimistic for in the future as well. That's Michael Dunn, head coach for both the men and women cross country teams here, and we thank you for watching us on the Bethany Sports Beat.